Want to slow down aging, have beautiful skin, and optimize your health? There are actually a few very simple tests that you can have your doctor order that will tell you the full picture and what needs to be tweaked in order to achieve just that. In today's video, I'm going to go over some very basic tests you can either ask your doctor to order, and if you stick around till the end, I'll show you how to order them yourself in case you want to forego your doctor and insurance as well. And these tests will give you the basic information of what needs to be tweaked in order to optimize all these things. I will tell you what the normal range is, what optimal range is for your results, and how to tweak that, and what changes you need to make in your diet and lifestyle in order to optimize. Now let's dive in. The first test that you absolutely need to measure, and this could be even as frequently as every 3 months, is your hemoglobin A1C. Hemoglobin A1C essentially shows you an average level of your blood glucose for the last 3 months. So it's essentially glycated hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein, and the glycation process is, roughly speaking, attachment of sugar molecules to a protein like hemoglobin. Studies have shown that excess body fat, and especially visceral fat, is correlated with chronic systemic inflammation and can definitely increase your hemoglobin A1C levels. Now here's the kicker. Even if you don't care about that at all, which you should, because it does affect your health of your blood vessels and heart and everything else. Also, the level of glycation of hemoglobin may be correlated with glycation levels of other proteins such as collagen and elastin. So if your hemoglobin A1C levels are high outside of normal range or optimal range, that can also indicate that your collagen and elastin is probably glycated as well as some other proteins. But why does it matter for your skin? Glycated collagen and elastin becomes more brittle and less flexible and not able to perform as needed. So this leads to formation of fine lines and wrinkles. And by the way, this process is also irreversible. So we definitely, to replace that bad collagen, we actually need to make new healthy collagen. And of course, bring down your A1C level so we don't make more glycated collagen. Your doctor might tell you that anything below 5.7 is acceptable. That is normal. However, optimal level should be below 5.2. And you can measure that as frequently as every 2 months in case you make some changes to your diet and lifestyle to see how it's affecting that. So number one thing to do to lower your A1C in case it's not optimal, and you might think it's eating less sugar or carbohydrates in general, but it's not true. It's actually losing weight. So if you are overweight or worse, you definitely want to lose the weight, and that alone will improve your insulin sensitivity and regulate your blood sugar. You also, of course, want to prioritize whole foods and high fiber diet and carbohydrates from complex sources. However, I don't want you to be scared of sugar. A treat now and then is completely fine. In fact, I eat dark chocolate almost daily, and my A1C levels are 4.7 according to my last test. Also, prioritizing resistance training can definitely improve your insulin sensitivity, leading to improved A1C levels as well. The next test you want to actually get at least once a year, ideally every 6 months, is your vitamin D levels. And by the way, I'm going to put a spreadsheet, a little PDF file of all these tests that I mentioned that also lists normal ranges as well as optimal ranges, the name of the test, of course, and then also how to actually optimize in case your levels are not good. Now, vitamin D is not only good for your bones, it's actually vital for collagen synthesis, your immune system, and specifically your skin's barrier function. Low vitamin D levels have been associated with conditions like eczema, psoriasis, and other autoimmune issues, as well as compromised barrier function and decreased wound healing. So you definitely want to keep your vitamin D levels in good range. Now, studies have shown that vitamin D is actually vital for collagen production because it's responsible for the function of the fibroblasts. These are the cells that produce your collagen and elastin. Important thing to remember is vitamin D requires magnesium to be activated in your body and do its job. So it's extremely important to also supplement with magnesium if you do supplement with vitamin D, because it can actually deplete your body of magnesium, right, if you're not supplementing. As you already know, magnesium is participating in over 300 different enzymatic reactions, so we do really need good levels in our diet, and most people do need to supplement to help with all of these, one of which is vitamin D activation. And we do have research showing that magnesium supplementation can enhance vitamin D levels, which helps us maintain good bone health and also good skin health and collagen production. Now, optimal range is going to be anywhere from 55 to 85 nanograms per milliliter. So if your levels are outside of this range, then you definitely need to do some of these things. Number one, get more sun exposure, specifically of larger areas of your body. Of course, avoid peak sun levels, so we don't want to burn the skin, but you do want natural sun exposure, which is actually best to synthesize your own vitamin D. You can also supplement, which I personally do. Make sure to take in the form of vitamin D3 with also K2 to support healthy calcium metabolism and keep calcium in the bones and not in soft tissues. And last but not least, supplement with magnesium to enhance your vitamin D production. Now, how do you actually test outside of asking your doctor? Luckily, there are many companies that offer vitamin D test kits that you can actually collect yourself at home. Very easy, and you could get your results within 7 business days. The one I use is Everly Well. I'm gonna link it down below in case you want to use it, and it's a fairly inexpensive way to check your vitamin D levels every 6 months or at least once a year. The next test you absolutely do need to check at least once a year is high sensitivity C-reactive protein. This is a marker of systemic inflammation, which you want to keep at the lowest level possible. So you want to have it at lower than 0.5 milligram per liter. Anything over 1 is actually a cause for huge concern, because increased systemic inflammation means worse aging outcomes, poor skin health, potentially autoimmune conditions and inflammatory conditions like eczema, psoriasis, rashes, things like that, poor skin barrier function, and also poor detoxification. So what to do if it's high? Definitely assess your diet. You want to remove any inflammatory foods, any processed foods, fried foods, packaged foods prepared with hydrogenated oils, or processed seed oils like canola, safflower oil, and stuff like that. So you want to shift the diet first and foremost. You also want to focus on gut health. So a lot of times systemic inflammation is a direct result of leaky gut because our gut health is not optimal. So you definitely want to focus on that to seal the gut so none of that stuff is going into your bloodstream causing inflammatory response. You also want to manage stress. And of course, once you clean up your diet, you want to add antioxidants and also potentially things like fish oil to lower inflammation. Also add polyphenols like blueberries, and maybe even supplement with antioxidants such as vitamin C and glutathione. The next test you absolutely need to check is your homocysteine levels. This is actually a marker of your methylation, how it's going, which is vital for detoxification. So if the levels are high, then that means that methylation is compromised, which also equals compromised detoxification, which leads to poor skin health and overall health as well. And it can actually be very dangerous. Homocysteine levels are a marker of your heart health as well. So if it's high, there's something going on with cardiovascular system that we absolutely need to address as soon as possible. High homocysteine levels can actually indicate B vitamin deficiencies, especially B6, B9, and B12. So supplementing with those methyl donors or getting them from whole foods is definitely vital here. Now, optimal homocysteine range is going to be below 8 micromole per liter. Anything 10 and above is actually cause for concern. So definitely showing compromised detoxification and methylation. So what to do if it's high? Assess your diet, of course, but then also potentially supplementing, as I mentioned, with methyl donors, betaine, trimethylglycine, B12, and so on. Foods rich in these methyl donors include leafy greens, liver, or actually grass-fed beef as well, eggs, egg yolks specifically. There are lots of different foods that contain these methyl donors, but again, you can also supplement. I will link the supplement that I like below that has all of these in one. The next test is comprehensive metabolic panel, and this is probably one of the only ones that your doctor might actually routinely order without you asking them, but definitely double check. So comprehensive metabolic panel has lots of things in there that can give us indication of your detoxification, your mitochondrial health even, and overall liver health and things like that. So key things to focus on in comprehensive metabolic panel. First, your liver enzymes, AST and ALT. They basically give us a bit of a picture of how well your liver is detoxifying toxins and running overall detoxification processes. If they're elevated, that means that the liver is very much stressed. So typically you want to keep those levels of those enzymes below 25. And again, I will have the PDF with all the levels and the numbers that you can download in the description below. Comprehensive metabolic panel also contains kidney markers like creatinine and BUN, which show the efficiency of filtration and can actually show us how well your lymph is being filtered. Again, shows how well you're detoxifying. And if you feel like you retain more water than normal and you feel very puffy, definitely worth checking these markers. Comprehensive metabolic panel, or CMP, also has albumin and total protein. This shows your overall nutritional status and also how well you detox, as well as your immune system function, which is extremely vital for your skin health and overall aging process as well. So what to do if numbers are off? Of course, it depends a little bit on what exactly is going on, because some of these markers are kind of interconnected. We can dive into this a little bit more in depth in later videos. But first, focus on hydration. So clean water, filtered water with electrolytes. Make sure you're fully hydrated. Make sure to focus on protein intake and have adequate protein in your diet. And also support your liver with, first of all, not bombarding it with as many toxins, but also nutrients that support liver health. And that can include also supplementation with bitters that can help a liver work a little bit better, as well as things like phosphatidylcholine. Well, the next couple of tests I'm going to bundle together because they kind of should be in balance, and these are iron and ferritin. And these are vital to show us your hair health and also energy levels. If your iron levels are too low, you may experience hair loss, fatigue, and also issues with oxygen delivery, because iron is a part of hemoglobin that transports oxygen in your blood. If your iron levels are too high, that means you'll probably have really high oxidative stress in your body, which is not good at all. And that means faster aging, loss of elasticity because of damaged collagen, and increased oxidative stress also is associated with dull and sallow skin and hyperpigmentation. And ferritin is actually a protein that transports iron in the blood. So it's important to know how much of that ferritin do we actually have, as well as total iron. Now for ferritin levels, we want to shoot for 50 to 100 nanograms per milliliter. If ferritin levels are too low, that means your iron is probably too low as well. And if it is too high, it's an indicative of systemic inflammation. So what to do if it's too low? First of all, you want to check your gut health and what's going on there. I personally had severe iron deficiency out of the blue before I got diagnosed with a celiac disease, and I was still eating gluten. It was over 15 years ago. So damaged gut lining will decrease your nutrient absorption capacity, and that can also result in low mineral status, including that of iron. So gut health is number one thing to check. Also, make sure to pair iron if you do supplement, which I actually don't recommend. We'll talk about it later. You want to pair it with vitamin C because it's important for its metabolism. In addition, you want to increase the consumption of iron-rich foods. And typically you want to go for foods that have heme iron, which is the one we can actually utilize. And heme iron typically comes from animal sources such as red meat. What can you do if it's too high? Number one, most effective way is donating blood to get rid of that extra iron. You can also lower your red meat intake in case it's been high before. And you can also supplement with antioxidants such as quercetin to lower that oxidative stress that is caused by high levels of iron in our body. And last but not least, you want to check your omega-3 index at least once a year, but ideally every 6 months, especially if you're changing your diet. What is omega-3 index? It measures essentially the amount of two most important omega-3 fatty acids in your cells, specifically in your red blood cell membrane. Those are EPA and DHA. Now, studies have shown that actually the amounts of EPA and DHA in red blood cells are correlating with the amounts of the same fatty acids in the rest of the body and other cells. Why is this important? EPA and DHA are inflammation pro-resolvers. Meaning, whenever we have inflammation, which if it's not systemic, of course we need some amounts to repair in case there's damage or anything that should not be there. But EPA and DHA make sure that inflammatory response ends what it needs to. Without proper amounts of this inflammation pro-resolvers in your body, the inflammation can keep continuing and essentially wreaking havoc on your body and causing systemic inflammation. So it's essentially like a never-ending cascade. So we want to make sure our omega-3 levels are optimal. Now, when you test your omega-3 index through one company that I use, as far as I know, it's the only one so far, Omega Quant, they actually have 3 different types of kits. The most basic one is about $70. I have to double check. You can also get a little discount in the description below in case you do want to use it. But the basic one literally just tests your EPA and DHA levels. And there are 2 other steps above. The most comprehensive one also measures omega-6 fatty acids, trans fatty acids as well, and saturated fatty acids. So it kind of gives you an overall composition of those fatty acids in all the cellular membranes. And remember, structure determines function. So we want to make sure our cells are made up of healthy membranes and of healthy fats and the right ratios for them to function properly. And that also applies to mitochondrial membranes. Now, what is a good omega-3 index? Ideally, you want to have your index between 8 and 14%. Studies have actually not really shown any benefit of having omega-3 index higher than 14%. So 8 to 12 to 14 is kind of an ideal spot. So most people though range around 3 to 4%, which is on the lower end, putting you at risk of systemic inflammation and likely showing that there is some level of low-grade inflammation present. And if your levels are even lower than 3%, that actually is a really cause for concern. So you definitely want to pay attention to that. Remember, we want to keep our inflammation low so that our body functions the best. But also, if omega-3 index is low, that can make you more prone to inflammatory skin conditions. Chronic inflammation also wreaks havoc on your collagen production and many other processes, as well as heart health and brain health and so on. So you definitely want to keep it in optimal levels. Now, what do you do if they're not optimal? Let's say your levels are below 8%. You simply add more EPA and DHA to your diet. That could look like supplementation, and I will definitely record a separate video going more into detail how to select a high quality fish supplement, because those can be really, really bad, and majority of them on the market are really not good. But you can also increase the consumption of actual food items that contain omega-3, such as fatty fish like salmon. Of course, you want to go for wild as much as you can. Also, sardines are really low in mercury and things like that, and they're really rich in those fatty acids. They're actually also pretty high in vitamin D as well. And if you of course don't like fish, you can supplement, but we'll go over that in another video so that you can choose the right supplement for you if that's the route you want to go. Now, this concludes the basic list of tests that I absolutely want everyone to check out at least once a year. I will make another video on more in-depth, more comprehensive list if you want to really optimize your aging process and overall health. But these are the basic ones to start with that you should absolutely either ask your doctor to order, or vitamin D as well as Omega Index you can order online through the companies that I mentioned. I will put the links below. And also there's another easy way. If you don't want to go through a doctor or you don't want to use insurance, that'll be of course cash, you can go to LabCorp directly. Just go online, order your tests, pick a location near you for a blood draw, and voila, you'll get your test results, which I can help you interpret as well. So just to recap, here are the tests that you need to check at least once a year. Now, as I mentioned before, there's a PDF in the description below that you can actually download, print out, or save on your phone and take it to your doctor. The PDF will include the name of the test, normal range for results, as well as optimal range. Remember, normal is just for you to be barely alive, while optimal is for you to actually be healthy. So we want to stick to optimal ranges. And then also what can be done if the results are not where we want them to be. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. If you want me to go more in depth on certain tests, or you would like that comprehensive panel as well, I will definitely create a video on that. And maybe you've already been testing all these things regularly. In that case, congratulations, you're doing a great job. So that's it for today, and I will see you in the next one.